Hello, everybody. This is Reverend Janae of the Energetic Elephant, and I am starting back with my Lightworker series where I'm going to be interviewing local lightworkers here on the Mississippi Gulf Coast, local healers, and people who do different energy healing and holistic modalities. And so my intention with this series is to kind of help other people who are starting their awakening journey to find other people that are like them, find the perfect healer, find someone that can help them activate their spiritual gifts, help them with ascension symptoms, and just kind of like heal their entire mind, body, and spirit. And so today I have the lovely, beautiful Miss Amanda Walley. Hey, Amanda.
Hi, thank you so much for having me on this series. It's such an honor, and I love everything you said about your intention with putting this out there, because wherever you are on your awakening journey, you are not alone. There are others that have navigated this and lots of people that are around for the support that is needed. You don't have to do it on your own.
Definitely. I know I really felt alone in the beginning because, we live here in Mississippi, and so it's not a very open topic that people are open to learning about, but I think that's changing. And so we're the front runners. We're here to help everyone kind of just be able to step out of that spiritual closet, so to speak, and start working with their gifts and healing and just changing the world. But so I did want to ask you on the show because I met you at the Ecstatic Dance with Gulf Coast Ecstatic Dance, and I just was like, she is a beautiful light. I want to know more about her, and that's why I reached out. But so you are a massage therapist, a yoga instructor, you do sound healing, you do Reiki, and you work with the quantum field. And so I think that is beautiful. Um, so, would you like to tell me a little bit more about how you got to this place?
Yes, I would love to share that. Okay, so it really hasn't been that long, because I started receiving what you would call the spiritual ascension symptoms, which I think we'll circle back to what those are in a little bit. But I started experiencing those in 2021 and started having like this inner knowing, which when I look back and think about it, that inner knowing was always there.
Always.
Like from childhood, I always knew like there's a reason that I'm here. There's something I gotta do. But of course, as you grow up, some of the conditioning gets layered on, and sometimes we pick up things from our family system of like, no, you can't do that. That gift is weird. People are going to think you're weird. You can't say that. You can't, like, there's all these can'ts, all these blocks, all these things that are stopping that presence of light that you are, that you've always been. So I had a lot of those experiences, but in 2021, I was a teacher. I was working in the school system. I was actually a special education teacher, and I was having a really difficult time with that. Right before I had started teaching in the schools, I had just finished my 200-hour yoga teacher training. So I had like these huge contrast moments. Like, on the one hand, I just spent an entire month at an ashram learning yoga and being immersed in what I knew to be true for me, and that inner knowing of like, yes, there's something here for you. There's something within this path that's here for you. But then I began my work as a school teacher, and it's like there wasn't room for that aspect or that quality of me, or at least I believed there wasn't room for it. And so I went into like this dark spiral, but it was necessary.
Yeah.
So it was absolutely necessary. And then that's when I started feeling the light codes the light energy. I felt my vibration rising. I was directed to certain people, like certain spiritual teachers that I would go into sessions with, and then they would say things to me that would really awaken like that knowing, where I was like, oh. So sometimes people are put on your path to like wake up those codes that are already in you. It's like they say something, like the first intuitive healer I worked with, she said, lizard spirit has a message for you. And yeah, and lizard spirit said, you have stopped dreaming. You have just stopped dreaming. You're going through a soul death. You have forgotten your place and space on this earth. And it's time for you to start dreaming again. And this whole message of dream a bigger dream came through. And I started doing that. I was like, okay, I'm a school teacher. I don't see any way out of this job that I'm in, but I'll start dreaming. I'll start thinking about what it could be. And then I did some Reiki trainings. And these Reiki trainings really like cleaned up my energy a lot. And I started realizing, oh, maybe I could do my work in this way, but it still wasn't landing. It still didn't. And you'll see that on your path too, where you'll try different modalities or you'll try it one way, but it's not the divine timing. And it maybe doesn't stick. The clients maybe don't come yet, but it's not a sign that you're not supposed to be doing it.
Right.
That you're still learning and you're growing. And there's maybe something very unique that you offer that you just haven't stepped into yet. And that was definitely the case for me. So I eventually left teaching, which was really difficult to do because it's not like I had some certainty. Like I didn't have something lined up. I ended up working at a grocery store for a temporary time. And I'll tell you, in that time when I was working at that grocery store, in between teaching and what I did next, I had the hardest time doing what should be a pretty simple job. But it's like my soul could not be in that environment. And I kept being very rebellious and just I was not a good employee. I tell people all the time, I was a terrible employee at that time. But I wasn't supposed to be there. Like I wasn't supposed to stay there for a long time. I was there for the time that I was supposed to be there. And when it was time to go, I did. And then I was like suspended in this place of not having any income. And at that time, I was like, what have I done? Have I just sabotaged my whole life?
My entire life?
Like, did I just destroy like everything that was stable and functional? I did have that thought, but I knew that I was listening to my guidance. And I was like, we're just going to keep listening and we'll see what happens. We'll see where I end up. And then that's when massage school came to my attention because there is a free program on the Gulf Coast at Mississippi Gulf Coast Community College and I went through that program and it was free. And that's where I was led to go. And as soon as I started working as a massage therapist, that's when I would say my path of alignment and sharing my gifts with I was ready at that point. For whatever reason, that was the missing puzzle piece. Because then I started doing beach sound healings, which does really well. It's a really fun time too, but lots of people attend those. And that connected me with a lot of people that are now my clients. It connected me with Soul Family. I started receiving more Reiki clients, doing more one-on-one sound healings, collaborating with other holistic practitioners, and it really just like took off after that point. But I didn't always know that's how it was going to go. I just kind of had to wing it and trust that I was being led where I needed to be led, and it required that I really let go of a lot of things that I knew in my heart were not for me.
It's so hard sometimes, girl. I'm telling you.
Mm.
Yes, and I really love that about the lizard spirit because I won't go into it much, but I was born afraid of lizards.
Really?
Someone scared my mom when she was pregnant with me with a lizard. And I was born terrified. But in my awakening, I'm no longer afraid of them. Isn't that crazy? But I've
Oh,
been thinking about the lizards a lot the last few days, and then you mentioned the lizard spirit, so I
that's
that was for me.
so interesting. Yeah. That's funny that I would even mention that, and that's like something coming up for you.
It's that's how it goes. Like that's literally an example of how these connections are happening. And
Mm.
I love that this is how it went for you. So now, when you say that you had those like moments where you realized that this had been happening your whole life, um, as a child, were you exhibiting like your gifts were coming out then, and then they were like, were you
Mm.
shutting them down? Were you being told to shut them down?
Yeah, so this is actually interesting because it's a new thing that's coming forward. I haven't hosted this event yet, but dance is like something that's coming through. When I was a little girl, I loved to dance. I would like get down, like vigorous dancing. And then I went to dance classes where I was told, like, ooh, that's too much. We're going to stick you in the back. And I had some really traumatizing experiences because I think I just wanted to feel accepted and like
Yeah.
understood. And I loved the way that I danced. And that shut down because of that experience. I was always clairsentient, so I could always feel other people's emotions, but I heard a lot growing up that, you know, I was too sensitive. Like I let my feelings get hurt too much. Which I think my caregivers were just trying to help me and they didn't know how to help my particular sensitivity because I would be very, very emotional. Um,
Yeah. Yeah.
and I always had a very strong connection with spirit, which that was never really shut down. I was raised in a Catholic household, which I'm no longer Catholic, but I did really appreciate certain aspects of prayer, connecting with God.
Mhm.
Um, and I felt like that was a big thing early on. It's just knowing that there's no separation between myself and spirit. But there were a lot of experiences growing up where I think I just was raised in a very intuitive family and they had their own traumas and fears around their intuition and like what would happen when they expressed it. And so out of fear, they would tell me when I was being too weird or too much or
Yeah.
whatever
Yeah.
the story is. And it's made me fearful, especially in the beginning when I was starting out as a Reiki practitioner. A lot of times I would try to water it down or like share the gift without like seeming too out there, too woo woo. I was always
Mhm.
scared to seem too much. But when I started working as a massage therapist, at that point, I was like, but this is what I am. Like, this is
Yeah.
who I am. And it's safe for me to express it and share it exactly as it is. Like, I don't need to water it down. Like, I just need to be who I am, and the right people will come, and the ones that I'm not meant to work with will leave. That's another thing you learn is you're not meant to work with every single person in the world. Like you're not good for everyone and not everyone is good for you as the practitioner. You really want to align with those people that there's like a heartfelt connection between you.
Definitely, definitely. And I've seen that happen for me too, where there's like a 3D part of me that's like, I'm gonna fail at this business. I'm not gonna have any clients. But I can't I'm not meant to heal everybody. I can't.
Mhm.
Theoretically, I can't do that. And so we're all needed. We're all needed here. And I'm just I'm loving everything about all of this, because we're
Mhm.
just gonna like start magnetizing all the people that need us. And sometimes like I'll have someone come to me and they'll remind me of my friend Crystal, who does her own modalities. So I
Mhm.
will send them her way, or I might see somebody that I'll think of you and I'm going to be
Mhm.
sending on that way. And I think it's just going to become a really beautiful symbiotic like
Mhm.
connection where we're helping everybody together.
Yeah,
That's the goal.
and I feel like the Mississippi Gulf Coast is going to become like this big holistic, like there's going to be this bigger holistic community where you are seeing more of the events on the beach or wherever they take place, where it's really nice spaces that people can go and they can receive and they can see, well, what is this about? Which will introduce them to this. And there's a lot more spiritually awake people than you might even initially realize, or at least spiritually curious people, because that's what I found most surprising when I first started doing this work. Is I would have so many people come up to me after my beach sound baths and they would be like, yeah, I've been on this path for this long. I'm so glad that you like offered this, because I needed a place to go so I could process like what is even happening with me. And I was just really I was like, I'm surely one of the only few people here on the Mississippi Gulf Coast that is, and I was wrong. I was
Yeah,
wrong, because
yeah,
there's a lot more. It's just like there's also like opening yourself up into being visible, which is an energetic quality too that we as holistic practitioners work on and through, because there's lifetimes of you sharing your gifts and like really bad things happening, past life experiences, and it's
right.
like remembering, well, now it's safe, like nothing will harm me, like I can be seen, I can share this because the people are here.
People are here.
Yeah.
And I think there's also a group of people that have not they're having experiences, they're using their gifts. They probably always have been, and they're so afraid. So
Mm-hmm.
they're not showing up at the events. They're probably going to be that next group that's going to come forward. And I
Mm-hmm.
really would love for us to be able to reach those people.
Mm-hmm.
They're watching the videos. They're having all of the same experiences. They just don't know that there's other ones like them. They're not alone. They're
Mm-hmm.
not alone. So, did you have like a really intense dark night of the soul during that grocery store, the
Yeah.
grocery store era?
Actually, when I was a teacher, was the beginning of I've had several little episodes, and this is what I'll call the the spiritual initiation. And it began when I was a school teacher. Um, And it's like I had a rock bottom moment in that. Like I was in some habits that were not supporting my light and my growth. And it brought me down to like having to face myself. And that's what the dark night of the soul is. It's like when the rug is pulled out from under you and all that's left is you being with you, and like choosing to in that moment to face yourself with endless courage and bravery. And it doesn't always feel nice. Like it's not the sunshine and rainbows, which you do eventually feel, but you have to feel like the shadow, the weight of the shadow self, the weight of like all those places inside yourself where you have shamed yourself or you have repressed yourself or you have called yourself negative or bad or whatever it is, and choosing to illuminate what that shadow is, illuminate the behaviors that are maybe sabotaging you and sabotaging your progress, and knowing that just by being with it all, that can help it clear. I distinctly had a moment where I was sitting outside on my swing, and I was in one of those dark night of the soul moments where I really didn't, like, I needed to make a choice about something, and I was driving myself crazy in my mind about it. I was like constantly going back and forth, or I should do this, I should do that, I should do this, no, I should do that. Yeah. And like, it was like, oh, it was hurting me to do that to myself. And in that moment, I was like, you know what? I'm not going to make a choice about anything. I'm going to sit here on this swing with my feet in the earth, and I'm going to close my eyes, and I'm going to breathe until I feel better. And so I sat, and it was like I had to make myself do it because I didn't want to. I wanted to like go curl up on the couch and like be in my despair, because I've had lots of moments of that where I have had the experience where I was balled up in a little ball on the couch, feeling like I didn't deserve to exist anymore. And that's a real experience that I have held and witnessed and seen in myself. But it's also an experience that I have used the holistic tools to shift and lift and move through. So by sitting there and making myself breathe, I came to realize that when it comes to choices in the external reality, you don't really have to like force yourself to make a choice. It's like, what presence are you holding? And knowing that whatever your presence is, by being in the present moment, by coming back to what's called the 0 point, which is the field of the present moment, that all will naturally flow how it needs to. It's all going to resolve in perfect harmony. But when we're putting ourselves in the past, when we're putting ourselves in the future, and we're like pulling our spirit in all these directions, right. Yes, it becomes really hard to find the clarity, because you're here, you're there, you're everywhere. And it's really when we bring it all back here, all back now, that it unfolds how it needs to.
Right. It's crazy because it's almost counterintuitive, I think, for us in our like in our 3D version of ourselves. It's almost counterintuitive to let it be and let it just sit, because we want to like examine and flip it around and imagine all the different horrible possibilities that could come because of the past terrible things that have happened. And so we just kind of like do that, and we think that's the proper way, because what we're thinking, what we're talking about now, like letting it be, isn't something we're used to doing. So it feels counterintuitive, but then once you start to go through your awakening, it makes perfect sense.
Mm-hmm. And that's why, that's why so many people are called to the hermit phase or the cocoon phase. And that is the phase where you're just sitting in what feels like the mess. I almost called it the mess, but that's not the right terminology, because it's nothing about you is a mess. It might feel like a mess, but it's not a mess. So when you're just sitting and you really feel like you have to be in the stillness, you have to be in the nothingness, the non-action, the non-doing. These are also qualities of the divine feminine. The receptive mode of really like, okay, spirit, I'm going to let you take care of this, because obviously when I take control or try to take control, it doesn't go into flow. And I completely understand what you're saying about like that urge to do, because I have done that so many times where I felt like I just need to do something. I need to create something. I need to make this path happen. And then when it wasn't Yeah. And when it wasn't divine timing, it didn't go any, like I was just like burning myself out and not receiving from that.
Exactly, exactly. But we feel that drive, and I think it's more like if we could just be still
Mm,
and let it be, then we will realize that that feeling to drive is to drive into that stillness, not to drive into the like the action, you know,
mhm,
like to just be in the no in the nothing. I love
mhm,
that, girl.
mhm.
Yes. You had many times where you went through like a little mini dark night of the soul.
Yes, I
Yeah.
did. Yeah. Because the journey's not exactly linear either. So
Mm,
you might think, yeah, when I ascend to 5D, everything will be perfect, that I will be, but you're still a soul on a journey, you're still learning, and it's not linear. So there are times when something happens and maybe you didn't handle it the way you thought you would, and you're like circling back to an old state of being, and you're like, oh, I'm dealing with this energy that I thought I had already transmuted again. And it's
mm,
not to judge yourself, it's not to say, oh, I shouldn't be doing this, I don't deserve it. There is endless grace, compassion, and love for you wherever you are. Even if you feel like you fell from grace, you have not. You are learning, and it's okay to be in the imperfection of it all, because you don't have no one, the divine is not expecting perfection out of you. You are the one that has chosen to incarnate into what might be considered one of the more difficult
yeah.
places to incarnate
Yes.
within. If anything, they're cheering you on and they're so proud of you for all that you have endured and experienced.
Yes. This definitely was the the hardest incarnation of my existence. I know that much.
Mm-hmm.
Um, so let's talk about what kind of symptoms you're feeling. Now, I do want to say this. So if you hear me call it ascension sensations, that's just because I recently had gotten a message that my guides want me to stop calling it symptoms, that they want me calling it sensations because sensations are sensational, and to kind of
Mm-hmm.
twist a little bit of excitement onto all of the things that my body is going through. So if I call it that, that's what that means. But tell me about what you're experiencing.
Um, so the past couple weeks, I was having a lot of vivid dreams,
Mm-hmm.
like really vivid dreams where I was seeing myself in the water. A lot of dreams about waters, but it wasn't just about like where I was, it was what I was feeling in the dream, because I would feel very light, like my field was like getting really bright, which then that causes what I call the ascension buzzies. That's what I call it, where you're
Oh,
laying in bed. You're laying
yeah,
in bed and you're like, wah, 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 wah. Like you just feel very alert and awake,
yeah.
although you're laying in bed. So I've had that experience a lot, where you lay in bed and you feel the ascension buzzies. And usually what I do to help myself with that is I'll either get out of the bed and move a little bit, because what's happening is like in your joints, there's a lot of stored energy that is like trying to move through your system. So if you just move around a little bit, it'll help you get grounded so that you can go to sleep. It's really important that if you're not sleeping on your ascension journey, that you try to sleep,
Mm-hmm.
because not sleeping will cause ungroundedness. Because you're going through a spiritual awakening, some of what you're witnessing, seeing, experiencing isn't what other people typically experience or see or sense. So you want to have sleep so that your mind doesn't start playing tricks on you about what you're
Right.
seeing or experiencing. I also like to listen to, when I have that experience, yoga nidra videos, because that practice, as you listen to it, it's like consciousness rotation through the body. So the meditation will say, focus on your left shoulder, your left hand, your thumb, your index finger, and it goes through all these. And it's making your consciousness rotate through the whole body, which then helps flush out what those ascension energies are like. That's why you're feeling like all bright and like you can't sleep, because it's flushing all of that out. So that has helped me a lot with falling asleep when I'm like,
very cool.
Yeah, I've had a lot of that. Sometimes on my journey, I've had really intense headaches. And that was because my crown chakra was really closed. Yeah, and it was trying to open. There's an acupressure point at the top of the head that you can just, it's at the very center, that you can just touch and let that open. Also the third eye, because both of those you'll experience headaches. There's also some points at the back of your head you can touch, and that pretty much will open your whole head. So that's good.
That feels really good.
It does. It does just feel nice for self-care too. And then like sometimes you feel emotional as you're going through big upgrades, because the upgrades just keep going. Like on the beginning of your journey, you might think they stop at some point. They do not. They do not. Like the vastness of your consciousness is always going to be up-leveling you. So salt baths are like ascension awakening 101. Whenever you don't feel right, just take a salt bath, and it'll help clear whatever you're detoxing. Cacao is really helpful, because when all that light energy is coming in, it can feel ungrounding, and cacao will help you go into the heart of Gaia and also just feel grounding and nice and nourishing.
Yes, definitely. Definitely. I was experiencing in the beginning just an insurmountable amount of heat coming through my body. And it also coincided with, I had an emergency hysterectomy after my 12-year-old was born. And so back then, when it was like the beginning of my journey, I just thought it was menopause because they had done the surgery, but then it didn't stop. And then there were times that I was like, I really think maybe I need to like go get my whole body checked, because there's obviously something wrong. And then all the test results would come back that everything was fine. But I was still like just drenched with sweat, or like ears buzzing and ringing, all kinds of crazy things. And so all of those suggestions are wonderful for even like just the uncomfortableness of like the vibrating, that I vibrate sometimes so strongly that it wakes me up.
Yeah, and there are sensations that can feel really uncomfortable, because it's almost like you're creating a new body. Like you're in the same body, but the field around you is becoming something that it has never been before.
Never.
So whatever you can do to nourish and take care of yourself it's really key.
Absolutely. I agree. Kind of like finding what your body is going to respond to. Salt baths are huge, like you said. And then for me, I'm not struggling with sleep. I probably am sleeping too much. Like I will sleep. I can fall asleep at the drop of a hat. So it's like some people are having one extreme or the other. And I think it's just kind of like our body's way of urging us to look for something that's going to soothe us, that's new. Not any of the old ways that we would have soothed ourselves, but new ways to soothe ourselves. Just getting out and touching the earth, go going to one of the events that's on the beach, whether it's your singing bowls or an ecstatic dance, cacao at both of those events. Like you can't go wrong. And then you're meeting people, so it's really cool.
Yeah, a lot of people make friends at those events too. And it's really good to have that community support and a place where you can be understood versus feeling like you're all alone, because you're definitely not alone and you don't have to be alone.
Mm-mm. I remember my mom telling me something is really wrong. You have to go to the doctor. Like you're drenched with sweat. What is wrong with you? And then I would get scared. And then when we get scared, like our bodies are going to lock up. So I would just stay like, I'm dying. I'm dying. I know I'm dying. This is terrible. And then all the results would come back normal. And then she would say it again. Well, maybe you need to go to another doctor. Go to another doctor. The one thing that finally worked was a salt bath. I was taking like 2 salt baths a day in the beginning. And that's really what I was able to use to get my nervous system to calm down enough that I could then understand what was happening. So, okay, so you work with the quantum field.
I
So
do.
can you tell us a little bit about that?
Yeah, so this was a big part of my own like spiritual exploration. Was I studied Reiki, and then I got curious about past life regressions, which I did some training in that, which led me to one of my main teachers. He was a quantum healer, and he taught me quantum healing methods. This is his own program that he teaches. And basically, you can think of the quantum as it's everything and it's nothing. So it's a place. This is how distance healing works too. So some people might wonder, how could you do an online healing session? But it's because we're all connected by our energetic fields. And in the energetic field, the 0 point, no time, no space, anything and everything is available to you for your healing. So your spirit guides can be called in. Your spirit guides might have specific things to you, like to your soul, that are needed, like certain lights, certain color rays that are most helpful to you. So I know for me, the violet flame is a very helpful ray of light. The color pink. The pink ray is really helpful to me. But for everyone, you might have things that are very specific to your particular nature that can come through these sessions. So essentially, when I connect with my clients using the quantum methods, I just allow it to happen. I might not even know as I'm guiding them. So we always start with the breath. So I'll guide them to breathe, to sink into the space that we're going into. We'll connect with some elements of nature. And then I just let it unfold from there. And whatever is needed will come through. Sometimes I channel messages from the person's guides or team of light. It just will unfold how it needs to. And it's always what the person needs to receive. And it's also something that I can teach you to do, like for your own healing practice and just spiritual awakening too.
Very cool. Very cool. How long have you been doing that?
I think since 23 is when I did those trainings. So they're newer. And it's kind of just naturally weaved in with my sound bowl. So when I do a weekly sound bowl class at the yoga studio, I bring in some quantum healing into that. So I'll guide a meditation and it's completely channeled. Like I don't even know before I get to the studio what the meditation will be. Because the energy is always going to be different depending who shows up. So I just kind of let it come out of my mouth, like while we're all there. And it's different every week, so it's whatever the people that show up to that need. And it also very naturally goes in with my Reiki sessions too. So I'll guide it. It feels a lot like a guided meditation, but it's also very energetically felt and experienced and supportive too.
That is so cool. I think that's definitely something that a lot of people are going to start to learn about now, is like the quantum medicine that we're being offered is really coming now.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and it's really about the empowerment behind it, is that, you know, who you are as a soul, you already have all the technology, all the tools within you. The quantum healing is just connecting you with that aspect of you that already has it or is already knowing of it. And it's like helping the human, the 3D, like wake up into, oh, that is me. Oh, I do have those tools. Oh, I can help myself just by visualizing an image. I do a lot of chakra balancing where I have people visualize, like, for example, the crown chakra, I'll have people visualize the most beautiful purple lotus flower that they can. So sometimes just connecting with an image, seeing it in your mind's eye, is a very quick way to balance a chakra without having to like dive into what's wrong. It's like you already
Right.
have what's good within you. You just need to connect with the creative part of your mind that can create that experience that can connect with you where you are right here, right now.
That's beautiful. I love that. Very, very cool. Would you be interested in showing us maybe a little quantum technique or a
Yeah.
guided thing?
Yeah. Yeah. We'll do that right now. So
Thank you.
you're welcome. So we're going to just close our eyes. Everyone here, and begin to feel the space where you are now, aware of all the sounds, aware of all the silence, and allowing everything to be exactly as it is. And together we'll take a slow, deep breath in through the nose and let it go out the mouth. Breathing in again. And as you breathe out, feel how you are letting go of any worry or concern. Breathing in again. And breathing out. I want you to begin to see yourself out in pure nature. And in this nature place, there's a beautiful body of water over to your left, where you can see a waterfall flowing effortlessly into water that seems to almost glitter at you. It's sparkly and shiny. And you feel so drawn to the presence of this water that you step right in to the water. And as you do, you begin to feel lighter and lighter until you find yourself standing beneath the waterfall, water falling over the top of your head, surrounding your whole body. And this water is kind of cool to the touch. So it has this feeling of being reinvigorated. At the same time, it is cleansing and clearing you completely, releasing any negativity, And you can simply say in your own mind, I release any negativity within or around me. I release any negativity within or around me. I release any negativity within or around me. And then you'll just lay on your back in the water. And in this place, you'll float completely surrounded by water, allowing yourself to receive whatever it is you need for the next couple of minutes. And you can receive anything, whether it's a message or a feeling in your body. Just allow yourself to connect and receive. And allow this healing moment to come to its natural conclusion. And we'll seal this all in with so much light, so much love, that this healing will continue far beyond this moment, into your day, into your week. Whenever you're ready, you'll wiggle through your fingers and toes, reach your arms up for a stretch. And you can blink your eyes open.
Ooh. I had chill bumps before you even said the water was cool.
Oh,
Like I just
wow.
I knew the water was going to be cool. My skin, I had like somatic response already, like right before you
That's
said
amazing.
it.
I
And
love that.
one of my guides gave me an rose quartz necklace.
Oh, I love that.
That was amazing.
I'm
Thank
so
you
glad
so
you
much for
enjoyed it.
sharing that with us.
You're welcome. I'm so glad you enjoyed it.
Oh, goody goody. So, so do you have any events scheduled on the books that you would like to tell people about?
I do. Let me look at it where I typed it. I have it right here. Okay. Just so I make sure I get the dates. All right. So I have one really exciting event because it's a free online workshop. So if you're really drawn to working with me, this is a great place to do that because it's completely free and I'm not holding anything back. This isn't like me giving you like nothing because it's free. Like it's going to be a healing workshop. It's called Heart Alchemy, and this is February 22nd. I will recommend that you email me at angelichearmonyhealing@gmail.com to get added to the email list for it. So it'll be on Zoom. I'll send you a link for you to click to join the meeting. And this is my tool that I have used, Heart Alchemy, whenever really heavy sensations would pop up in my body. I would use my heart to help feel it, to help sense it, to help experience it. So this workshop will be an opportunity for me to guide you through, well, how do I identify what's going on in my body? Where do I feel a sensation that's blocked or heavy or tense? So I'll guide you through that process, and then we'll use some quantum healing like we just did just a few moments ago to move that sensation through the body. It's going to be such a magical time, completely free.
Yes.
So that's February 22nd. And like I said, reach out to my email.
Okay.
In person, if you're on the Mississippi Gulf Coast, my next in-person workshop is Express Your True Self Ceremony. This is happening at Treehouse Yoga in Bay St. Louis on March 1st. And this will be a cacao, yoga dance, and sound healing ceremony. So basically, the way I see it with dance is this was like a huge freedom to my own expression when I started stepping back into dancing again, which I mentioned earlier. As a child, I always had. So we're going to talk about a lot about the throat chakra, about the ways that we might not express ourselves, or the ways we might hide from others, or hide from connection with others, connection to self. We're going to journal a little bit. We'll drink cacao and set some intentions. And then I will guide you through some movements. So if you're already a dancer, I'll let you go. Like, I'll tell you, just have at it, dance all you want. But if you're someone that feels a little uncomfortable at the idea of intuitive dancing, I'm going to have some structured movements you can follow along with me just to get you into your body and dancing. And this is going to help release a lot of like pent up energy. And to finalize it, I'll play the sound bowls, which will bring you into this really elevated and positive state of being. At least that's my intention. So that's March 1st.
Beautiful.
And the only other thing I have lined up is Full Moon Beach Sound Healing, which will take place on April 12th at the Washington Street Pier in Bay St. Louis. It'll be on the beach by the pier. And that will be at 7 p.m., April 12th, Washington Street Pier Beach. But if you really are someone that I need to see the details like in front of my face, again, send me an email and I will send you all the information so you're able to look at it, save it, and think about, whether you want to be there.
And I'm going to link all of this information too when I upload the video to YouTube.
Perfect.
So I've made some little notes that I can add in there. Now, if anyone wants to sign up for those in-person workshops, can they email you for that too?
They can email me and I will send. So Treehouse Yoga has a sign-up link that you need to go to pay for your ticket. Beach Sound Healing is a $10 to $25 cash donation. So you can show up the day of that event and just pay me. I don't do tickets at this time. Maybe eventually I will, but not yet.
That's the full moon.
Yes.
Sound healing. 10 to 25 donation.
Yes.
Awesome. Okay. Well, I am so happy that you did this with me, girl. This is wonderful. Thank you, thank you, thank you. I am so excited because I think this is really going to be great for all of us. All of us.
Yeah, I agree. Thank you so much for inviting me to be here. I really had a fun time chatting with you.
Thank you so very much. Is there anything else that you would like to share?
No, I think that's pretty much it. Now, I am on social media, so I do a lot of content there. But if you email me or if you look in the description box for this video, you'll see all my social media information. I'm on Instagram, YouTube, and I have a Facebook business page. And those are great ways to connect with me.
Awesome. Well, Amanda, I'm so excited for your inner child to get to dance again. That is amazing. I can't wait to join you in some of your events.
Yeah, I would love to have you there.
I would love it. Well, thank you so much, girl. And I'm going to go ahead and exit the recording. But I will chat with you soon. Bye, everyone.